Ah,
Hello.
there we go.
Yeah. All right, settle something for us. I was assaulting Grant. All right, he said that's assault. And I said there is no a salt. You can't have a singular salt. It's all salt. And now he thinks a grain of salt is a salt.
I think you can. I think you can have one salt. Like, you can have one of anything.
One serving, maybe? But then what is that?
No,
is it what's called for the dish? What's, like, recommended by doctors?
Just because it's super small, you could get it down to a base level and have one salt, one piece of salt.
One salt molecule?
You could have that, too. You could
Looks
have
like salt it refers to everything. It's like deer. There's no deers.
Well, that's true, but you can have one deer, or you can have multiple deer.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of salt, or you can have a salt.
My correction was the fact that you put a before it. So whether it's a grain, it's an atom, it's a fucking pile of it, it is salt.
It's a.
It's not a salt.
See, this is where we part ways, because at the fundamental level, I completely disagree with you. I completely disagree. I don't even know what I'm arguing for anymore.
Fuck you. We are starting a cult. That's great. I'm Jake. Mitch is in the room. He's petting the cat.
You can have one thing. That's what I'm sorry, guys. I'm stuck on this. I can't figure it out.
This is just like the fucking Reese's thing.
Sort of. It is. It comes back where it's one of those arguments where you could see the opposite side of your argument as being valid, but since it's a debate, you have to stick to your side. And then the more you go, the more you realize, no, maybe I am making a point. But then it just keeps going back and forth. So there's never truly like a reasonable response.
Yeah, no, it's true marijuana fodder.
It's difficult because we'll go back to this for a singular second. All right, the Reese's cup being a candy bar thing.
No. Oh, okay.
No.
It's not gonna be for a second.
No. We don't have to debate it. I'm just saying the updates. Okay.
Okay.
So we've pretty much established. I think the only person that was on my side in this whole thing was Georgie. Everybody else in my life was anti my position, but he backed me up here, and we accepted we kind of agreed to this. The terms have been accepted that I will revoke my ability to call it a candy bar as long as we can accept that it is a close relative of the candy bar.
No one's ever disputed that.
That's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
I definitely understand. But then, believe it or not, this actually, one night, it really popped off. We were going at this for about 2-3 hours.
Yeah, this is a common topic of conversation for our group.
And it got brought up, and keep in mind, I'm going to bring up an argument that I don't particularly believe in, but it is just as valid, and I've never really taken the time to sit down and analyze it for anything other than just that conversation.
Let's see, what is this?
But we were talking about Kit Kats, okay?
This is wafers.
But that's the thing. That's where it gets tricky, because for all intents and purposes, it is a candy bar. It is shaped like a bar.
Yeah.
I think it's a cookie.
It's a chocolate bar, I think.
But it's just a chocolate-covered cookie.
Yeah, it's a chocolate bar with cookies in it.
That's the thing. It's
candy
not a
bar.
chocolate, but see, that's where it's weird. I don't particularly buy it. I just call it Kit Kat a candy bar. I mean, to me,
it is a candy bar.
And that sort of goes back to the whole Reese's thing, where I call it lazy, call it what you will, complacent. I'm comfortable with anything being a handheld piece of candy that has chocolate on it, that isn't just a piece of chocolate, being a candy bar. You know.
So a chocolate-covered peanut is a candy bar to you.
If it's big enough, it's got to have a right size threshold.
Oh my god, these are fucking state fair peanuts.
But this also brought up one final argument to it, right? So a Hershey's bar, is that a candy bar? Because technically, I understand the debate goes further because chocolate is a type of candy.
It is candy, yes.
But would it could be argued by some that it would be its own system, and it would be called a chocolate bar instead of a candy bar.
I don't think the paring away of, like, pairing is in PAR.
Yeah. No,
but of all the, the other fluff that goes into all the other, candy bars.
Mm.
I don't think that takes away its candy bar hood.
That is true.
It's a thick outer shell that goes all the way to the center.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
And it's candy. It's a bar.
It turns out that candy is a lot more complex than we've ever given it credit for.
We could write some fucking long-ass papers on
We
this.
could, because we talked about it for quite a while, and as we kept going, more and more and more things just kept popping up out of the woodwork that really kind of made you think. I think we did realize, now I don't know if you agreed with that or not.
I may not have been there.
I'm not certain. No, you were there. This was the same night.
Okay. All right.
I don't remember if we had agreed to this or not, and I didn't look into it or anything. But I am certain that we decided that caramel is not considered candy.
Why is that?
Because it falls into the same category as chocolate, where it's its own independent thing, but it does not share the same properties. And Again, I could be wrong. I didn't look it up to get the research on it. I don't believe it is classified as a candy, where chocolate is classified as candy.
What is it, like a delicacy or something?
Something like that.
That's
delicatessen.
I think it's fucking candy. You ever fucking had those little cubed caramels?
Yeah, Werther's,
You know?
like Werther's Original.
No.
Those are discs, aren't they? Those are
Just
kind
like,
of
yeah, those
circular.
are like hard candies. I'm talking like the chewy, just like cubes of caramel.
Yeah.
Come in the clear package.
And
That's candy, man.
I kind of fall into it where I could see both ways, but the candy debate goes far deeper than anyone might possibly suspect.
Candy is more complex than life itself.
That is true. It goes deep, man.
Caramel is candy.
Mitch says caramel.
Mitch is on the caramel. He says caramel. I don't even like that.
See,
Get
I'm
the
not
fuck
even.
out of
I'm on your side ethically, but not how you pronounce that.
here. Yeah.
Whatever. No, I just Googled it.
Okay, it
You
is.
just Googled it. All right.
So that's where the argument came in, because I think I was arguing that.
No, we're discussing these things. We can't look anything up. That's a rule.
I think I was.
Know that.
I
don't
think
know.
the
That's
reason
a rule I made up. Just
I was arguing it was because I found out it was candy, and I was anti that. But I also was sort of just in the debate of candy mood that day. So
yeah, you are a devil's advocate when it comes to sweets.
most things, I like to play both sides because I think it's an important part of the world, okay? We don't really get that anymore because a lot of it just gets immediately shut down or ignored.
What, opposition?
Yeah.
You're saying that as an American right now?
Yeah, you gotta have...
What the fuck, man? A riot just fucking blew up, in Chicago.
Yeah,
Just now.
Yeah, there may or may not be riots that occur tonight. I was just reading that moments before we started. But I'm not saying that opposition is obviously present, but in conversation, it's not openly accepted in most places anymore.
No, yeah, it's usually like a text and then like a downvote or something.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I find it important. I actually do have what was it? Oh, I have two things that I was going to bring up today, specifically that I very much will play the devil's advocate on. For both sides, okay?
So, okay, all right. Well, wait, that doesn't... All right, go on.
But yeah, we'll just get right into it. I got two things. First and foremost, okay, Jake, I'm going to let you pick here. Do we start with the easier one, the one that's a little bit,
harder one.
The harder one?
Harder one immediately.
Okay. Something we have not covered before, and I'm not going to cover in extreme detail here, but it will be a topic of conversation for the day, as it really has kind of ballooned into something that I think a lot more people are talking about openly, as opposed to maybe 6-7 months ago and previous to that.
What?
The COVID vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
I think that is, we're not going to make an episode about it, obviously, but I think it is an important conversation that we sort of just kind of gloss over. We've talked about it, obviously.
Well, no one wants to talk about COVID,
Well, you got a point there. Nobody fucking wants to do that. But here we are. So get ready for it, okay? So, with the rise of the boosters and COVID still being around, the important question remains, all right? And this is something that is hotly debated all over the internet. I assume in a lot of different family circles. The holidays just passed. I'm sure some of you out there had conversations like this floating around the table at Christmas or Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts on, is it effective? Is it doing its job? Is it evil? Is it designed to depopulate humanity?
COVID or the vaccine?
We'll keep it with the vaccine. We'll bleed into COVID a little bit, I think, but we'll stick to the vaccine for the majority of the topic.
I mean, we both got it, and
Yeah,
we're not dead.
I got the as Dave
You got the
Chappelle
J&J.
says, I got the third best option. The reason I did that was because, and don't get me wrong,
You just didn't want to make 2 appointments. I
Yeah,
drove you there.
to be completely honest, I didn't. And looking back on it, it's very easy to say, well, I don't trust Pfizer and all that. I don't. But really, at the core of the day, the conversation was simple. It was, do you want to get 2? And at that point in time, when I had gotten it, it was 21. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like springtime, well, like early summer of 21. And at that
because we
point,
got it early.
yeah, it was still at the dawn.
Yeah, because you're sitting down, and I'm in the healthcare.
Yeah,
So they
I
were
think
just
it
like,
was.
you get it first.
I want to say, I think it was one of like the first or second weeks when it was more open, because I wasn't gonna get it, but then with my new job, I was under the impression that you had to, so I just got out ahead of it. It turns out I didn't need it, but at the end of the day, I mean, no harm, no foul,
Fuck it.
whatever.
Who cares?
Looking back at it, I am pretty glad that I got the Johnson & Johnson one. And I'll explain all of my thoughts on this. I'm not a COVID denier. I'm not the vaccine is a depopulation mechanism, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I do think there is some odd things that are occurring. And let me start with this. The shot that I got.
Wait, you're not going to bring up that like Twitter account that's like that middle-aged woman posting that she's like shaking all the time, but like she's holding the camera steady and just like shaking her legs violently. She's like, it won't stop.
No, I don't. I actually don't know what that is.
No, it's really funny.
That's kind of funny.
It's not real.
But the thing is, the thing that got my attention was not that it was rushed out or that people were lining up to take it. What really struck me as odd was immediately after taking it, I thought, why is the one that I'm getting different than the other 2 available, right? And why
You mean why single as opposed to double dose?
right? And why are the other 2 so much more prominent? Why is everybody going for those? Well, doing a little bit more research, everybody's talking about it now, the mRNA treatments and stuff like that. That is what's scaring people. First and foremost, let me be the first one to tell you, it's not a new technology. It's something that has been looked at and researched for decades now. I understand the fear of the first time it's being publicly given to everybody, essentially. It's not used in trials right now. It's just given out.
The mRNA thing?
Yeah, I understand that can be a little concerning for people. But again, the Johnson & Johnson one was different. It was much more of a traditional vaccine. And that was the one, initially, it was written off as this is going to last for, like, the season. This is not a forever deal. When that came out, the Johnson & Johnson, part of that deal was it isn't 2 shots, but it's not going to last forever. There is a half-life on this medicine, and it will not be effective forever.
Were people under the impression that the double dose was going to be effective forever?
At least initially, yes.
Wow.
That was the plan.
I don't know what I thought. I just wasn't thinking about it.
That was the plan. Now, granted, I'm sure people that were medical professionals or had opinions about medicine probably knew more than the average person and would assume that
I would fucking hope.
this wouldn't last forever, But it was definitely believed that if it didn't last forever or give you some form of immunity, it would certainly be far superior to the Johnson & Johnson one.
Yeah. They just make fucking no more tears. It makes you cry anyway.
Almost immediately after I got my injection, it was taken off the market. The Johnson & Johnson. It was taken off the market. They said it wasn't effective. Whatever, man.
Buyer beware, dude.
Whatever. So fast forward to, believe it or not that long. Fast forward a handful of months in the same calendar year, it turns out now that you need boosters. And I'm not even gonna lie. I have not kept up with the new information. Is it still going?
Yeah, I mean, they still want you to get boosters.
So I know.
I think people are on their like 5th or some shit. I don't.
Really?
I don't know. I got my first booster and I just haven't gotten another one.
So I was under the impression, or at least earlier, the third booster is the one that came out. And yeah, I know you have to continue. I didn't know that it was that recent that you could
I don't
keep
know, man.
going.
All I know is there's new versions of the Vidster
Right.
coming out like all the time, and they have like really kick-ass names. But
Omicron.
yeah. Grad Persei 8.
But the first thing that made me skeptical, besides those two things, like this was the third strike that really kind of made me sit back and wonder if it was worth it to continue on the vaccination trend for COVID, was initially with the first booster that came out, it kind of made sense, right? The way you could spin that story, it kind of made sense. It was very...
You just refuel and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, like absolutely.
fill her up, you know.
And it was it was not mix and match. If you had Moderna, you get Moderna booster. If you had Pfizer, you get the Pfizer booster. Johnson & Johnson is working on a booster. If you had that one, sit tight. We'll get to you soon.
They have a lot of products.
Honestly, fast forward just about 2 months from that announcement, that now you can mix and match. It doesn't matter what you got initially. It doesn't matter what you have now.
You wonder if that was like withheld information or if like just some fucking nurse who'd been doing it all day just fucked it up.
And
it's like, nothing happened. This guy's fine.
Really, what I think it was personally, that they hoped that would be the case, the mix and match eventually, but they just did not have the testing to get that approved. I'm not even saying to study the results, just to actually get it approved. They couldn't do that yet.
All right.
Which is understandable. There's a lot of, big pharma might suck, but they certainly give themselves a lot of hoops to jump through, okay?
That is true. It's all based on trust.
Now we're here. We're at about almost the 3-year mark of COVID being a truly international, worldwide pandemic, right?
Yeah. Aren't they still... Isn't like they're a big outbreak in China right now, and they're like... Then there's riots on the streets because the military's like, stay in your house. They're like, no, I gotta go to work.
Yeah, they got a really bad outbreak again.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that nowadays, obviously, hindsight is 20/20. People are looking at it, and as somebody who is not typically anti-vax, is pretty down with it. I understand the necessity of it.
I've gotten a couple shots in the past.
I think it is safe to assume that the boosters, keep in mind I'm saying the boosters, not the initial shot itself, is not doing anything good. It is causing a lot of problems. Even people that are not seen on the more skeptical side are admitting that young active males and even some young active females, people under the age of 30 that are physically fit, if they are boosted more than 2 times, we're seeing an extreme rise in heart problems, and that is very unprecedented, to say the least. Okay, that's just not normal.
Yeah. Sure they're not like carbo loading before practice and like eating pasta and fucking drinking cups of grease and stuff?
Well, I would hope
energy?
not. But that's an outlier. That's part of the variables here in these situations. Just because things happen does not mean they're related to COVID or the vaccine.
No, everything's pretty much chaos, yeah.
It's certainly going to raise some questions, right? Certainly going to raise some questions. Now, what I want to discuss here is my position in the conspiratorial side of this, okay?
Yeah, okay.
A lot of the anti-vax individuals are very, very, very prone to believe that this was all part of a depopulation agenda. It was a way to get people to essentially get sick, get reliant on the government, and eventually die young deaths so that the population would be decreased for the New World Order. For those of you unfamiliar with the New World Order,
Of course.
this could take a fucking 10-part series in and of itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna just like sandwich this in here.
The short and sweet of it all, I mean, we'll probably get to... Actually, I wouldn't mind getting to that eventually. The short and sweet of the whole deal, if you don't know what that is, it's not the fucking wrestling thing. If you don't know what the New World Order is, it's essentially a one-world government that would be controlled in one central area. So essentially, it wouldn't be the UN, but it would be something similar to the UN operating every single government around the world. We would have one currency, one government, and it would sort of be this weird prison-like planet.
Cool.
That's sort
Sounds
of the
easier.
end goal that they believe.
It honestly sounds better.
Now, obviously, if you are to subscribe to the New World Order theory, we just have way too big of a population. It would never work. You could never corral 8 billion people into fucking one thing.
No,
you
it's
couldn't
too
do
many.
it.
Yeah.
It's got to be trimmed. The fat has to be cut. You got to get rid of it and make it easier to manage.
If they really wanted to do something, just like say, like, oh, damn it, I accidentally sent a fucking nuke to India.
Well, that would cause more problems.
It would, but it's like, that's 1 million right there. Or 1 billion, rather.
Yeah, that is true. But the thing, to me, that makes no sense. And the reason that I kind of have, I won't say I bit my tongue, but the reason I haven't really gotten into it lately is because the world of the conspiracy theory has been overtaken lately by, and I fucking hate this term. I hate this internet terminology here.
Crackpot.
Bots.
Oh, bots.
It has been taken over by bots and
That's a conspiracy right there.
and real people that act like bots. The issue here, if you try to peruse any form of conspiracy news, conspiracy outlets, you get these very grandiose, idiotic, moronic people that will believe anything anybody says because it's anti what they hear on the news. Okay?
Yeah.
That's just the simple truth of it. They think that the electric car is a bad idea, right? Understandable. I know people that feel that way too. If somebody went on fucking CNN tomorrow and said how terrible the electric car is and how bad it is, they would immediately change their mind and say, well, if they don't like it, then it means it's good.
The news said it's bad.
That is how gullible these fucking people are. And
they're like you, devil's advocates.
they're sheep, man.
They're
That's
just
what
like,
they are.
oh, just opposers.
I don't like that word, but the very people that they accuse of being sheep, they fall into the same category. Again, conspiracy theorists come in all shapes and forms. Everybody's got a little bit of it in them, right? Everybody.
You're such a conspiracist. Is that how it is? Conspiracist?
Conspiracist. I don't know.
It's not even a word, but if it was, that would be how it's spelled. That you are turning on your own community.
I don't like considering myself in that community.
That's what it is.
Because it's full of negativity. It truly is.
Well, have you seen the world? Nothing's good.
Well, yeah, you got a good point.
Nothing's good at all.
You got a good point. It's just so there's no discourse. Kind of how we started this episode.
Yeah, and it's something as simple as chocolate,
Right.
candy bars, all these things.
There is no discourse. So this COVID thing has obviously ramped it up to 1 million. And I hate to stereotype here, but I'm about to do this, okay, for the conspiracy world.
Okay.
The conspiracy theorists that are the loudest on the internet are people that are part of the baby boomer generation, right?
Yeah.
They just finally got comfortable using social media and flipping through different things, and they believe anything that they've ever heard on the internet because they haven't heard it on TV. So why would they lie? This is what they're interested in now.
Well, I mean, the internet is like it was like books for them, It's
Well,
like,
true.
why would they write that in this book if it's not real? That's a waste of ink and paper.
That is a good way to think about it.
It's like
I never really thought of it that way.
They're impressionable from text specifically.
So you have that. Then there's one other camp, and this one, I don't mean this in a rude way, and I'll even reword it. It's people that give themselves too much credit. They believe that they are very rational thinkers, when at the end of the day, they are completely irrational. They have no rational thought out of their mind.
Yeah.
But
Then
they
they bring
believe
up like, oh, it's subjective. It's like, all right.
exact. They believe that they do, which makes them arguably the most dangerous of the group because they put themselves above others with their knowledge and their things that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
But by doing that, they're losing that rational discourse that leads to knowledge.
Yep. What was it, like Socrates? He was like, the only thing I'm sure of is that I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
And we need more people like that. Then there's one other group in the conspiracy world, and that is, there's no other name. The best possible name to give these people are Q-types. The real out there, real fucking...
Oh, those dads that have been, like, murdering their entire families lately. Have you heard about those?
I have not, no.
There's, like, 2 or 3 cases of just, like, a fucking suburban dad just losing it one day and killing his family.
That's weird.
Like,
That's weird.
they were all, like, very openly into Q.
Ah, okay. Well, that's the thing. And they're not all Q-specific, but they're these very, very subgroups of conspiracy that are really just very far gone. And part of being a conspiracy theorist is that you have to understand that there is a chance that some of the things they say may be correct. They may not be, but you have to be open to that possibility, right?
Yeah, just let them talk.
You have to be open to the possibility that any member from all 3 of these groups could make a good point. And if you are not able to do that and analyze it and research it with things that are outside of your comfort zone, not things that you like to read, they have to be items or books or websites that you don't typically go to, where
Many
you might
different
get
places.
Yeah, you get a fresh perspective, you know? If you can't do that, you are part of the problem. And COVID has really driven out all three members of these different subgroups, right? We've gotten that COVID vaccines are to kill people. They're personally to wipe out young athletic males because they are more likely to be able to overthrow the government. Then we go deeper to people that say COVID isn't even real. It's all a lie. It doesn't exist. Then, can you believe it? It goes past this. I don't know if you guys are very open to this one. I've heard it a couple times, and it fucking freaks me out as somebody that...
What, we don't exist? Is it like
No. This is, as somebody that has a very base understanding of medicine and the medical field, at least enough knowledge to, I would say, be able to put together my own first aid kit. There are people out there that go a step further and say that not only is COVID not real, viruses are not real.
Which is the concept of virus.
The concept of a virus is not real.
Well, what are all those viruses then? What are they?
I could not bring myself to read what they have to say because it doesn't make any sense. And I know that, you say trust the science, trust the medicine. I know a lot of people that don't get political about it. I've been to a lot of doctors in my life, never met an actual trained professional, no matter where they lie on the political spectrum, that would say viruses are not real. Because they are real. We can observe that, okay?
Yeah, it's like a thing that like science discovered, and then they were like, these are all kind of similar, but they like spread in the same way. Let's just figure out a name for them.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, it's a real thing that was discovered, named.
Yeah.
Still appears.
So
today.
this is what we're dealing with here. And obviously, I'm not going to spend the time and go through all this back and forth. You guys know, anyone that's listening knows, there are people that believe the COVID vaccine is its intention is to kill, things of that nature, right?
Okay.
I have a counter offer here. I have what I like to think. It took me a while to kind of sift through all of the trash that you're going to find on the internet, right?
That's all that time you've been spending on Reddit. You're just researching this.
I am. I kind of been. It's been months going on months, almost a year now, where I've been really reading things that are annoying for me to read because I think they're dumb. Reading things that are pretty enlightening and just trying different aspects. And I have come to my conclusion, and I want to know where you think this fits. I believe COVID exists.
Good.
With that being said, I believe it is not as dangerous or deadly as it was initially anticipated. Obviously, I'm aware that it caused millions of deaths, right? I understand that.
There's a lot of like fucking beds of trucks and shit filled with ice and dead people.
Oh, yeah. No.
There wasn't any place to put them.
I would never deny that. Completely understand that. However, every human body on this planet is different. And the way this virus is going to react to you, how your body reacts to it, may or may not be a positive thing. It's going to happen. It happens the same way with a lot of different illnesses, right? I mean, Magic Johnson has been HIV positive for almost 40 years.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And a lot of people that were, HIV positive died within a couple of months. Some of them lasted a couple of years. Some of them didn't make it very long at all. It just depends. Everybody is different. And I'm not here to say COVID is not deadly. I'm here to say that I think it is equivalent to a very, very
equivalent
strong...
to AIDS?
Equivalent to AIDS?
Are
no.
you kidding me, Greg?
I think it is equivalent to a very strong strain of the flu, where it is something that,
yeah,
yes,
I think that's what people think, right?
I hope so.
There's like, it's just the flu, but it sucks more.
Yeah, it sort of does, because it's here to stay. It's around. We have to live with it. We have to deal with it. But understanding that it is something to be concerned about. You don't want to get it, obviously. And all these fucking tough guys that COVID isn't real, I don't need the jab. If they get really fucking sick on COVID, chances are pretty high that they're going to be a little nervous for
They might be a little scared, yeah.
And that's normal. That's human nature, right? It's things we don't understand, things we
Further
don't know.
evidence has been presented to you, and you're going to act accordingly.
So we understand, from my perspective here, we understand that COVID is a disease that we can survive. And by we, I mean humanity. It's not the end of us. It's something that we will persevere through with no problem.
Yeah.
It is okay to say it's dangerous, obviously. But the vaccine itself, I do not believe it was created to depopulate the earth. I don't think it was created with any ill intent. And before anybody gets their jimmies all jimmied up, all right?
I hate Jimmy.
And before any of that happens, let me explain something to you. The reason I don't think that is the case is because the population, and I don't just mean America, I mean the world, was pretty fucking scared 3 years ago. There was a good 3-month gap, I would say, between late or early March to probably about the end of June, where nobody really knew what was going to happen. I mean, we were sort of in and out of lockdown. A lot of jobs that had the ability were completely closed. The idea of going back to school was fucking insane. Even though the school year just ended, it was pretty much understood we will not be back in person come August, September.
Yeah.
Things were really rough. And people were afraid, some weren't, some were. It was scary. And they needed to do something. They needed to create something to try and bring back that normalcy, right? So they did. They created it. They rushed it. It was, it happened.
The best attempt at a cure.
Yeah, and I believe that the COVID vaccine was not intended to be evil. I think that it was rushed, not studied enough, and we are just now being able to realize that maybe it does have some negative side effects. It doesn't mean those side effects were intended. It doesn't mean that was part of some grand plan to kill people. It just means that we're seeing now with the data and the numbers of people that have it that maybe it didn't work exactly how we wanted it to, right?
So you're thinking it's like how they used to put lead in the paint.
Sort of, yeah.
You know?
That's this generation's version of that. We just didn't know it yet, and we needed something, and it made people feel better, and because of that, we're here now. Now, I don't believe that the vaccine is causing a lot of these problems. I think it can. Obviously, the data isn't totally present, and when I say data, I don't mean some random Twitter account
It's
that
Reddit, yeah.
is somebody says is run by an underground doctor that can't reveal his identity because he'll be fired. The real data...
How'd you find my account?
The real data that we can actually analyze, and again, part of the conspiracy world, can you even trust the data? Well, it's all we have, so you have to. Or you have to at least try.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. What happens here is we don't have the data. Now, you see all these issues, these heart problems, these illnesses, these weird happenings that are occurring, right?
Yeah.
What if it isn't the vaccine at all? What if these are symptoms of having COVID multiple times? It's a virus we truly don't understand.
Oh, yeah, that is, wow.
And
Maybe.
there's a significant chunk of the population. And I hate to burst your bubble if you're one of these people. It is not as rare as you think it is. It is extremely, maybe not common, that's not the right word. It's likely that you had it or possibly have it right now and you're completely asymptomatic.
Yeah, you just don't know.
That does not mean that it doesn't have an effect on you eventually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it could just be like a long-term thing.
Think of the flu. If you've ever had the flu, you know that it kicks your ass, takes your fucking name, and even when it's gone, when it's out of your body, the flu test, not many people get it, but let's say you do, you could still test negative for the flu, and your body still is trying to recover. Like, you are fatigued, you are
it did
tired,
a number on you.
You are beat. You might not have the sniffles or a cough anymore, but you're still fucking sick, you know?
Yeah.
If you get a disease like COVID that you can get recurringly over and over, seemingly endless amounts of times, there's no way of knowing that that will not cause some crazy fucking problems. You know?
I know the main distinction between it and the flu is that it attacks your lungs. So
Yeah, it does.
I can see that.
And the example I have is anecdotal, obviously. I'm no scientist or survey taker or giver.
I can tell by the fact you're about to tell an anecdote.
Yeah, but I know more than a few people that now have problems that they did not have a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. These are new problems. And the one common trait that they have, actually there's two common traits. They all have had at least a single dose of the vaccine. So obviously people are going to lean that way. But the other part of it is they have all had COVID more than once. And it might not have been extreme. It might not have been bedridden hospital on a ventilator. It might have been something as simple as the sniffles. But all the people that I know that have different problems now have had COVID at least twice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So it's something to think about. And I don't want to harp on it all day because I know people, you don't want to hear about it entirely.
Nah.
But
Why else do you listen to the show, you know? Listen to us talk.
I will leave you with one comment before I move on to my next thing.
Oh, yeah, there's an easy one. Okay.
This
is good now.
It's
okay.
short and sweet, and it'll open conversation up for a little bit. But I want to leave you with one thing that I think is important to note. The government cannot be trusted. Correct? We know that.
That's just understood.
COVID is not good. We can understand that. This is where it gets a little controversial.
I feel like a fucking kindergartner right now.
This is where it's going to get a little controversial, and I hope you guys can ride it out with me. And if you disagree, I want you to really think about what it means. The COVID vaccine is not effective at all, and that is the truth. Now, all three of these things are true to me. It does not mean that they are all connected in a nefarious plan.
Do you think it was just like something put out by the government to satiate the masses?
I do. I think it was done with the intention of trying to help, and we didn't have the time to actually buff out the problems.
Yeah, we get the old placebo or something.
It could be. And the reason I say the vaccine is not effective because whether you've had a dose or 5 doses, you can still get it. You can still get sick. These people that say, well, I have it, but my symptoms are very mild. I had COVID with the vaccine and without the vaccine, and both of the times I had it, they were far more mild than the common cold that I get once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So the vaccine, to me, is not effective. The government cannot be trusted, and COVID can be dangerous. These three things will remain true, but that does not mean they are connected. That's where I'm leaving that. All right?
All right.
Think about it. Get back to us. Tell us how you feel, what your difference is. I'm open to listening. I don't believe that it's evil, But if you do, it doesn't mean I'll shut you down. I still want to hear what you have to say.
It's evil in that they lied to us.
Now, I'm going to get into one more conspiracy.
Oh, well, that one was pretty good, dude. That's as believable as any.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Sit
I
on
still haven't had COVID.
Like a
knock on
Fonzie.
wood there.
it. You better, boy. Now, this one is a little bit more fun, but also a little bit strange. For those
all
of
right.
you that have been alive in the last month,
Yeah, all our dead listeners, turn it off.
yeah, you're not going to follow
Yeah.
this. If you're a newborn baby, this is going to make no sense to you. Damar Hamlin, right? Football player. Big
Is he,
spectacle.
the heart attack man.
Yeah, the big spectacle. Cardiac arrest on the field. Game got canceled. All over the news, all over social media. Really, really, really big.
Heart attack man's a great band, by the way. Everyone look them up.
Now, the Bengals. Not the Bengals. Fuck, sorry. The Bills.
All right, the Bills.
The Bills played the Bengals last week. All right?
Okay.
Playoff game, rematch of the game that got canceled. Damar Hamlin, out of the hospital, was at the game. Not playing.
I was gonna
obviously,
say, good fucking lord.
but at the game. Now, have you not heard this theory? You don't know where I'm going with this?
I ever since I realized I'm not going to win the fantasy league, and I didn't, I kind of stopped watching football.
Really?
Recently, but I will watch the Super Bowl because that means fun times with your friends.
So I don't know, Mitch. I don't know if you're even paying attention. This
He's
might,
on his phone.
It might be something both of you passed by it quickly, maybe didn't notice. There is a big thing going around that Damar Hamlin is actually dead, and I'm not saying I buy it. I'll kind of give you my opinion again at the end, but there's some evidence there. There's some evidence that he's dead. So what happened was they were playing in Buffalo. All right. When they were playing the game, he was there. They made a big spectacle of it. He did not come out onto the field. He was in a skybox, okay? They flashed to him twice. One time when they flashed to him, it was a sort of back left side angle where you couldn't see him and he had his hood up.
Okay.
The next time they flashed to him, he had his hood up with a mask, and the shot was from the outside of the skybox through a snowstorm that you could not see of him, pretty much just a masked figure standing in a window.
Well, I can imagine that he would be dead, maybe. And the NFL just wants to not have that be a thing right now because they could lose a lot of money
Now,
with the rest of the season.
it goes a little bit deeper. There was one more sighting that was not televised. This was by the media. And at halftime, he went into the locker room with the Bills, like with his team. And again, wearing a hood and a mask, could not see any single facial feature, would not talk to the media, no pictures, nothing. Any picture he's in, you cannot tell who it is. It could be anybody.
So he's well enough to go to the game, but not well enough to like talk to the press about his incredibly, inspiring story.
Now, what gets even weirder here, and again, I cannot confirm this. I'm no fucking, coroner, okay? I can't confirm it.
Explain your basement.
Online, it has surfaced that there is a death record, a death certificate from the state of Pennsylvania, which is where he is from, for Damar Hamlin, with the two people signing off on that document sharing the same name as his mother and father. Okay?
Oh my.
Now, again, this is the internet. Things can be made so easily. Lies can be forged out of fucking nothing. It's something that is being talked about, right? And there's obviously two sides. There's nobody in the middle here. There is strictly he's alive or he's dead, and both sides think the other side is stupid.
I think he's dead now. You convinced me.
Now, I'm playing the devil's advocate, as I said I will do. I think it's only fair to assume and understand that just because you now know his name, and for people out there that don't like football, just because you now know his name, I am somebody that I would consider myself a very avid fan of football. I watch it at least one game a week when it's on.
Yeah, I don't know how you rattle off like stats and players and all that shit all the time.
Right. Look, I'm very intrigued by it. And when I don't have time to watch a game, I will catch up on it with the 20-minute highlight videos where they go through the plays, right? I look at stats, I read stories, I follow shit, like on Reddit. I have ESPN app, I go through there, blah, blah, blah. I enjoy football. I did not know who Damar Hamlin was before that day, okay? And now, granted, I'm no fucking expert. I'm not big Mr. Football Man. I'm just saying that as somebody, I would put myself in the echelon above a casual fan. Somebody that knows people and knows who to look for, who to watch.
You know stuff.
Never heard of the guy. If I did, it was so forgettable and just, you don't know who that is, right? I would imagine that most of the world was like that. Unless you were truly an intense fan or a really big Buffalo Bills fan that knew these players. Damar Hamlin was not actually their starter. The reason he was starting was because the guy that had that position was injured in the beginning of the season.
He suffered a heart attack in the parking lot.
No, that'd be fucking crazy. But Damar Hamlin, I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything like that. He's young. They're still testing the waters. He played here and there, but he wasn't a star player by any means. Sort of in the grander scheme of football, especially on the Buffalo Bills, he was kind of a nobody.
He'd still get a ring.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's not to mitigate who he was or what his ability is, but they have a lot of really big all-star level named players on that team that he could be forgotten by the wayside almost immediately, right?
Yeah, so he has to do something crazy to get the attention.
Well, that's the thing. Because of this, now he is nationally known. Everybody and their mother is talking about Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills. There is a chance that this guy is very young. I mean, he's like, 22 or something like that? 22, 23?
He's a mere child.
He's a young guy who is kind of getting his footing in the NFL. He's only been there 2 or 3 years. He's kind of trying to navigate his way around. He's never had to be that guy in the press box. Never had to be the guy that gets picked up after the game for an interview. If it was something very quick and short. He isn't the stud on the team. So with this, now he is nationally known, possibly even internationally known. He is sort of the face of the NFL right now over the last 4 or 5 weeks because of what happened. There's a very good chance that he just didn't want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
Could happen, but then what are you doing in that profession if not to get a lot of attention?
Well, and it is. It raises other
money,
questions.
of course, but
I just wanted to propose that to the other people, to the conspiracy side of it, so that maybe they could see a different perspective. There is a chance that guy really went to that game because he was feeling better enough. Football is his life, and that's his team. Like, those are his people. It does not mean that he wants to be the media boy. He doesn't want to get bombarded and questioned. He probably isn't even feeling 100% right now.
Probably not. He had a heart attack at 22. But dude, but can you imagine what a fucking media nightmare that would be, or just press nightmare in general for the NFL if they had a fucking young kid die on the field and then they just continued the season?
It would be rough, for sure.
They probably would continue, and then it would just be a nightmare for them and their reputation and all that shit. But it's like billions of dollars.
Yeah, it is.
Especially with the Super Bowl. Come on.
That sort of gives credence to the other side because
he's dead.
It would be bad. Now, the other side of that argument is they are a multi-billion-dollar company, and if anybody could recover from that, it would be them. But let's say he is dead for the sake of this argument, okay?
Okay, yeah, he is.
Died in the hospital. He's not okay. He's dead. That was, what was that, 3-4 weeks ago, something like that?
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. Maybe 3 weeks or something. Anyways, let's say for this sake, he's dead. Admitting that now would be terrible. In that moment, they probably thought they had no other option but to play it up as he was okay. But postponing it this long while you're in the end of the season here, That's not a good look.
Dude, what if they just have like an in memoriam thing at the beginning of the Super Bowl, and that he's
And
the
just
only
slip him
thing?
in.
Just slip it like right at the beginning, so it's like, oh, we're already airing. We can't stop now.
Yeah, just a quick, like, half-a-second slideshow. It could happen, and I'm not here to say he's alive or dead, but it is sort of the new conspiracy floating around out there. Obviously, you get a lot of conspiracies. Doja Cat was all fucking dressed up in red, and they said she was, a demon, and
She was wearing like jewels.
it was weird. She looked really strange, but
fashion is weird now. But
yeah, I don't get it.
she looks fine.
But there's a lot of new conspiracies, and it's funny because it really kind of dawned on me the other day that we don't often talk about them. When we do, it's very short and in passing. And I kind of wanted to make an episode geared more towards the current day conspiracy climate that we're living in.
Yeah, we got no shortage of them.
And it's really sad because
Yeah.
the generation before us, actually possibly even 2 generations before us, they were the people that were really into ancient civilizations. And, the Mayans invented the cell phone. And fucking Egyptians, they created Wi-Fi before we knew what that fucking was.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about this possible celebrity might actually just be dead. That's really all we're getting,
Yeah, no, we've kind of focused inward.
Yeah, we've honed in on what it is that we want, and I don't like what it is that
into
we
more
want.
specific things, not the grand, like, how did all this happen? It's like, no, what the fuck was she eating that at that restaurant for?
No, absolutely.
Only a lizard would do that.
But yeah, I mean, that's sort of where I wanted to take us this week. I do have a plan, as I said. I don't know how I want to tackle it, but I would like to do something of the one world government, new world order type of thing.
Yeah, we can do
something
that.
like that.
That'll cause no problems, us just constantly looking that up in our browsers.
Well, fair point. But there's something to be said about our show that I noticed. I've been going back and kind of looking at everything we have. And we don't really neglect anything, to be honest. We do cover a lot of bases here. The one thing that I feel we do lack on is the conspiracies. And the reason I say that is because we do a lot of episodes like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where it's just kind of freewheeling.
Yeah, they don't really fit into a structured series. I would like to try and change that in one way or another. And
New
do
Year's
something.
resolution, yeah.
So that's something I'd like to figure out. But don't worry. You guys know we always got episodes for you.
Forget about it, yeah.
But I think with that being said, that's effectively
That's
our
probably
episode.
the episode, yeah. So that was good. Dude, you didn't even tell me you had those things to talk about.
Oh, I was waiting, dude. I was
Wow.
holding them in the chamber.
Excellent execution. Well, yeah, I think that is the end of the episode. That's Grand Up Jake. Mitch was here. You follow us on all the shit. It's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and email starcult@gmail.com.
Yes.
There's also Patreon down there. And,
True.
YouTube, we're on there. Dude, have you looked at the YouTube lately?
No.
Me either. I really should.
I used
See
that
if there's any,
YouTube.
comments or anything.
I use that YouTube. But yeah, I guess I don't really use it on my phone, so I don't get the note. You know what? I'll open it up when we're done. Actually, that's a damn lie because I do use it on my phone, and I look.
So you just lied to me.
I don't.
Why did you lie?
We haven't gotten anything. If that makes you feel better.
Okay.
we
You're
haven't-
sparing my feelings. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't gotten anything.
No.
That's why it.
Well, we've
never
gotten some
dawned.
nice comments on certain things.
Oh yeah, and we appreciate it. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We don't do it for the accolades, but
And I
when you guys
guarantee
do,
The Finders is still our most watched video.
I don't know where that came from.
Me either, dude. It was like 6K or something. Everything else is like 4 people clicked on this.
The fucking finders themselves found that episode and just made everybody watch it or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't found
That's their new training video or something. I don't really know.
like these guys got it exactly right.
Whatever it is, somebody out there loves it and was sharing it. So
Pretend they're talking about you.
definitely appreciate it, guys. Definitely appreciate it. But I love you guys, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, me too. So,
Very much so.
The cat was also here.